When I was in nursing school, they taught us about patients who were in spiritual distress. And it sounded so bad. I thought of these people who were in this pit of despair, and I was supposed to go in and rescue them and make them better. And I think because of that, I didn't provide spiritual care. It seemed too scary and daunting. And I came across a concept a few years ago that helped, because I think we are all on a spiritual journey. I'm on a journey. The patients I take care of are on a journey. The colleagues I work along beside are on a journey. And we may be at different places and on very different paths. But hopefully there's something that I say that can help that person on their journey. And I'm very open to the possibility that they may say something that will help me on mine.
My next patient was about 16 years old, a young female, and her complaint was fatigue and loss of appetite. Her mother's eyes locked on mine, and I began to feel there might be something more involved here. The mom looked at me and she said, "I need your help. I need you to help me. I need to know what's wrong with Jessica." Jessica, who was normally a very active, happy, buoyant girl, had quite suddenly become pretty quiet and tired. So we chatted a couple more minutes, and then I asked Mom if I could speak with Jessica alone. Didn't take very long in asking more questions that I came to the conclusion that it was very, very likely that Jessica might be pregnant. And so I asked her, "Is it possible?" And she told me, "I can't. It couldn't be. It couldn't be. It only happened once, and I didn't like it. And you can't get pregnant if you don't like it." And she cried and cried. I went to her and held her. And she said, "What am I going to do? I don't want to tell my mother. I don't want to tell my father. What am I going to do?" And so I said, "We can do it together, Jessica. We need them now. You need them now." We called her mom back in. Mom's eyes again were just piercing me. And I proceeded to tell her, I think she's pregnant. And she was in denial. "No, I don't want to hear it. I can't. This isn't happening to us. This isn't happening to us. We're a good family. Jessica's an A student. This can't happen to us." So I gave her a little time. And then I said to her, "You know, is there anybody that you turn to when you're really struggling, when life just seems like it's too much to take on?" And she said, "I don't know what to do." And I said, "You know what I do? I really believe in God, and I believe that He's there for us, especially at times like this." And the three of us joined hands, and we prayed together. We prayed for Jessica and her parents, for the decisions that would have to be made, and for her future. And we embraced, and then they left with the lap slip. If I was just executing my job, I would have given them a list of their options and patted them on their back and sent them on their way. And I think when they came in, they were separate people on opposite sides of the room. They weren't together. And when they came in the next day, they had made that transition. They were holding hands. They were sitting side by side. They were united. The opportunity we had to pray together, to bring her problem before God and to lay it out and ask for Him, for His strength, for His help, I definitely think it made a big difference.
I was entering to another patient's room. I had seen the little girl, and I walked in, and I was like, "Good morning, how are you doing?" The mom, she was sitting there, she was looking so distressed, and tears was in her eyes, and she was worried about her baby. I said, "How is she?" And she said, "She's not doing good." I asked her for her name, and I said, "Do you mind if I pray for her?" And she says, "No." And I picked up the trash and did all what I had to do, clean the room. And so I was getting ready to walk out of the room, and the Lord said, "No, you go back and pray now." So I asked her, I said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I pray with you now?" And so she says, "No." I held her hand and I touched her daughter. And so we prayed. The mom, she started crying. She says, I needed that. She said, because I don't know how to pray. She thought she had to have some kind of knowledge or some kind of, I don't know what she thought she needed to pray. I said, you just call on Jesus. I said, talk to him just like you would talk to your daughter. I said, because he's our Father. I said, just talk to him like that. As we got through praying, then all the doctors came in. And she kind of looked at me and I looked at her because her fear had left her a little bit. And I was just so glad because it's a blessing to talk to someone about him and to uplift their spirits, you know, because I see so many people that are so down and out, and, you know, when they cry, you know, and I know their pain, I feel their pain. I have a prayer closet. Every morning before I go on my floor, I pray. When I make doctors' beds, I pray over the beds. You know, I ask the Lord, I say, Lord, give this doctor the knowledge and the talent when he gets discouraged about something to uplift him while he sleeps in this bed, you know. You know, I am an ambassador for the Lord.
I am a project manager for engineering services, and my job entails basically fixing stuff or getting people to fix stuff that is run down in the hospital that's in need of repair. I was walking through Children's Hospital, and there's these two women towards the gift shop, and they're just cutting it up. They're having a real good time. They're laughing, and they look like best friends. So I walk around, and I like to mingle. And I just said, oh, you ladies are having too good a time, just joking with them. And then we start talking. Well, as I found out, both ladies had met the day before because they both had daughters in ICU. And to first see them, you couldn't tell. I mean, it just looked like they were best friends. So when I started talking to them, they were real open, and he just started talking to me and started talking about God, started talking about their children, and asked me, would you like to go pray? Would you mind joining us in prayer? I said, absolutely, let's go. And she goes, well, do you know of a place where we can go? And honest, that day in learning the hospital, I found the chapel that was just around the corner, so I knew the perfect place to go. And we went in there, and we sat down, and they just started praying. They prayed for their children, and they prayed for me, and it was very moving for me to be able to experience that. And I call that like a God shot. You know, I mean, just that day I found out where this chapel was, and we parted ways. I haven't seen them since, but it still sticks with me how God uses people in different ways to touch somebody's life in a time of need is very rewarding. Whether it's from what we can provide for them from an engineering perspective and working as a whole with the hospital to provide excellent patient care in God's name.
We got a call of a young man on one of our basic units who had become unresponsive. Now, he was involved in a car accident where somebody had been killed at the scene, and he was the lucky one, the one that had walked away with rather insignificant injuries and was just here for observation. But he had become unresponsive on the basic unit. The families were in the hallway, and you can imagine the stress level and the anxiety level from being the mother of the lucky one who had walked away with insignificant injuries and now was no longer that. So we got him back to the unit, and we did what we did with the neurosurgeries. We put in the drains and the appropriate monitoring devices. And it was clear that there wasn't much that we were going to be able to do for this kid. Her son was now dying. Losing a child, there's nothing you can measure that to. But she seemed to see the bigger picture, which amazed me. The family approved this young man to be a donor. That's a long-term process itself. So I had this young man for 2 days. The whole time that we were doing this, the mom was with me in the room. We shared something as both being parents, both being spiritual people, that something greater was happening in this room that we didn't know what was going on. She asked me, "Can I get in bed with him?" And she did. I had to work around her, work under her, but it was her son. On the last days when it was time for him to go to OR, I said my goodbyes to her, and this young man was gone. Because of her son's sacrifice and her son's gift, there's going to be fathers walking people down, aisles at weddings. There's going to be Christmases, Thanksgivings, and birthdays. The greatest gift I ever have in this job is when I connect with a family. That's the part I love about this job. When you connect with that family and you ease them of their burden of what they're going through a little bit.
Around the holidays, I get very emotional because I lost my dad at 8 and my mom at 18. And it's always very difficult for me to be happy and celebrate when occasions like this come around. I was headed to work and I brought my box of Christmas cards to fill out at lunch. My break came around and I sat down to fill out Christmas cards, and I remember one in particular card. I knew this person's story and history because she shared it with me. And I remember filling out this particular card and stopping and praying and asking God to just speak through me in this writing, what I was going to write, what I was going to relay in this card. I just felt impressed to write something special in it. And gave it to this particular coworker. I couldn't even tell you what I said, but something in what I wrote in that card penetrated the heart of this person to the point that this person told me that I can never know what those words meant to them. And I wanted to ask for the card back because I wanted to read what I wrote. I had tears in my eyes. This person had tears in their eyes. And I knew it was the Lord, and that was the only explanation. I know that He knew that they needed something. I think being sensitive to others and to their needs, maybe knowing when they're having a tough time themselves, and taking that opportunity to share with them really helps. I am extremely excited about writing out cards this year and handing them out.
Spiritual care at its best is woven into all of the other care that we provide, not just tacked on at the end of a shift or the end of the day if we have time for it. Sometimes very small things that we do can have huge impact on the lives of the patients and families that we take care of. When we provide spiritual care to others, they are blessed, but so often we are blessed in the process as well.